My name is, as you heard, Axel Sjöblad, and I am the CEO of the biotech company SenzaGen since June this year. Before I start the presentation, I also want to say that we are right now in the middle of a large issue, a combined directed issue and rights issue, where we raise 106 million kronor. Who are we? SenzaGen was founded in 2010 by two professors at the University of Lund, Carl Borrebäck and Malin Lindstedt. We still have our head office in Lund, and we also have a subsidiary in the United States, SenzaGen Inc. We are listed on Nasdaq First North since 2017. So our technology then, what is it? We develop, perform and sell animal-free tests assessing chemicals' ability to cause allergic reactions. And of course, the main objective with this is to eliminate the animal testing that goes on. And right now, if we compare to other validated tests in the world, we have the highest predictive performance, which is above 90%. And our focus areas are skin and respiratory sensitization. The position the company is in right now is commercialization phase. My mission, being brought on by the board, is to take this company from research to a growing, profitable company. We have set a break-even target of reaching that at 2022. And to do that, I have presented a new commercial organization that will help me to run this work. What I will talk to you about today is our technology, the GARD platform, our market, our product portfolio, and then I will give you some ideas about our strategy going forward. So, a little bit more in detail then, what are we doing? What we are doing is actually aiming at replacing what you see on the left of this slide, the animals in the tests. And currently, the accuracy of the animal testing is between 70 and 75%. And our mission, of course, is that mice are not men. We think that it is much better to test products that will be used by humans on human cells. So we have our own patented Senza cells. And out of these, we have went through the whole genome. We analyzed 29,000 different genes to discover the couple of hundred genes that actually react when they are exposed to a substance. And to be able to analyze all of that data, we have used machine learning and using algorithms that we have created ourselves, and that is actually a core asset of the company. So by using modern technology, we can move away from the animal testing, combining genomics and machine learning, and actually reach a predictability and accuracy of 90 to 95%. When we compare our method to what is validated on the market today, you see at the bottom of the slide, the LLNA, which is the animal testing I just talked about. Then you see three other tests, in vitro tests. They are called DPRA, HCLAT, and KeratinoSens. And you see our test on the top. If you compare, you see that our accuracy is the only one above 90%. And that is, of course, because we use many more biomarkers than the other tests that are quite old today. We use around 200, and they only use 1 or 2. Another important difference is that we can also classify potency. And potency, simply explained, is actually that we can also say how much of a substance that is needed if the allergic reaction shall start. And the other in vitro tests cannot do that. That can only be done by animal testing and by our test. The market we are acting on today is a fast-growing market. The total market was estimated at a value of approximately 129 billion SEK in 2016, and we expect that to double into 2022. But it is also important here that you notice that our addressable market here is approximately 5 billion SEK. So we address a smaller part, which is the part that is related to this skin and skin sensitization primarily. On our board, we have a very recognized professor. His name is Ian Kimber. He's one of the persons in the world that knows most about animal testing. And when he found out about our company and our test method, he said, "I would like to be with you. Can I join your board?" And together with his network, he has helped us to make this picture, which illustrates a little bit the potential of the market and what we are aiming at. On the very left side, you see that we estimate that approximately 1 million mice are used worldwide every year for this type of testing. And then you should know that 18 to 20 mice are used per test, which gives us an opportunity of approximately 50,000 tests per year when we talk about skin sensitization. And that is what you see in the middle picture here. That is the market we address with GuardSkin and GuardSkin medical device. On the right, you see the potential that we have estimated for GuardAir, which is then addressing the respiratory allergies. That is, of course, a new market for us where we have just launched a product, so I have not included that in my break-even analysis. On the very top, just to give you an idea of how many tests it would take for us to make break-even, you see that if I look at the cost base that the company had in 2018 of 33 million SEK, it would require approximately 800 tests, so we are not talking huge numbers here. So with that said, we feel that our technology can really be a game changer in the safety testing. And that is, of course, driven by updates in the global regulatory environment within this segment. Already in 2013, animal tests were banned in the cosmetic industry, and that is what you see, the black areas on this picture, the European Union, Brazil, India, Australia. You also see in light brown areas where prohibitions are considered, the US, Canada, and Southeast Asia. And already today there are states in the United States that have banned animal testing. And then finally you see in gray areas where guidelines to use alternatives are being put in place. So they have not taken the step yet, but they are actually assessing how it can be possible to reduce the animal tests. With that said, we feel that there are many trends that really gives us a headwind. First of all, the animal testing bans that I just talked about. Secondly, a general will to move away from animal testing, which you also see if you look into different regulatory authorities, web pages, etc. They have a clear aim of reducing or possibly also eliminating, but that will take much longer, animal testing. There are also many stakeholders using these tests that are interested in improved test results, higher accuracy, and faster turnaround times. And that, of course, can also give them an opportunity to save money. One example here is that if we can work together with a pharmaceutical company very early in the product development phase, we can help them to eliminate substances that could create allergic reactions so they don't have to bring them through the development program. And then finally, something that we see very, very clearly, not for example in Sweden, is the increased community engagement, which is really in favor of eliminating or reducing the number of animal tests, and a general will, of course, that we take better care of our animals, which in turn, since many years, has of course also been important for companies in their CSR work. And one example I see here when I start to contact companies myself is that we immediately get access to them when we say that if you are doing tests, is it possible for you to maybe move away from animal tests if you haven't done that or thought about that already? And then we get immediate access to these companies. The product portfolio that we have targets four, which we consider high potential industries, where they do a lot of tests. It is the cosmetics industry, the chemicals industry, the pharmaceuticals industry, and the medical devices industry. Before I started, the company had set a target of launching at least one new method every year. And they have done that, of course, with the aim of addressing the four industries that I just talked about. So in 2017, GuardSkin and GuardPotency were launched to address the skin allergies. Then in 2018, GuardAir, with the name, a possibility to predict the ability of chemicals to induce airway allergies. And then finally, I also could participate myself when I had started in the launch of GuardSkin medical device, which we launched in September this year at Eurotox in Finland. And here we address the medical devices market. And I was extremely happy that we could launch that product just when I came on board, because I have most of my previous career within medical technology. And as you may know, right now the requirements are increasing on the companies in the medical device area to do more tests on the different materials they use. So the ISO standard is getting tougher and the medical device regulations are increasing the demands. And that is a good opportunity for us to advise and help those companies, and also to be able to provide them with a good test method for testing their materials. With that said, it is also very important that when you do the cultural shift in a company and go from having had a really strong focus on research to becoming more commercial, that this is clear that you need to sell what you have. So that has been my message, both to my organization and also to you that may be interested in following or already follow SenzaGen, that right now the message is that we sell what we have. We have launched 4 extremely competitive tests, and these are the ones that we will roll out now, primarily in the EU and the United States. So look at what I've said so far as an as-is situation description. What will we do going forward? First of all, we aim at break even in 2022, and also at becoming the new global standard for in vitro toxicology testing. Having said that, that cannot happen before we have received a validation from OECD. And you have followed the company before, you know that that work is ongoing. I will come back to that in a second. But preparing for that is very important for us now. So that is why the key priorities currently are to implement the new commercial organization in the market, to increase the general GARD platform awareness, to sell, as I said before, to sell the products that we have already launched, and to increase our market presence, and also to expand geographically in the EU and the US. And that we will do through direct sales, but also through signing more agreements with both distributors and CROs. And CROs, these are contract research organizations. When all of that is done, we have also said that our researchers can focus on continuing to develop our pipeline, but that is the second priority right now. And all of that we are doing because we want to have as much presence as possible when we get the OECD validation. And the latest news we have here is that we will get new information from OECD in 2020. And here I also want to highlight that the OECD validation is not part of my break-even case. This comes on top of that case when we get it. And the reason for that is, of course, that I prefer to count on things that I can really affect myself. Up here you see the work that we are doing before the OECD validation. Focus on EU and the United States, and then we work with companies in all our segments in the product development phase, and also when they need pre-regulatory testing and weight of evidence. When we have the OECD validation, you see that there are other symbols added, which symbolize, especially you can see it in cosmetics and chemicals, those pink symbols here. They present the picture when we have been a recommended method, and that is also where we can start to talk about really becoming an industry standard. The business model that we will use when we have come all the way is a B2B model, where we will work through those CROs and distributors to really get the maximum impact on the market. And then our aim is that approximately 80% of our business shall come from the license labs, the CROs. Right now the picture is opposite. 90% comes from direct sales. And the direct sales business is very important for me right now when I'm starting to build the market. Today we have 9 CRO partnerships in place, and 2 of those CROs that we have agreements with are among the top 5 in the world. That is Charles River and Eurofins. And in parallel to the picture you see here, we have another 9 discussions ongoing right now. We also have a growing base of recurring customers. And just one example here is Croda that you see on the left that develops specialty chemicals. And Croda used our test method as weight of evidence when they applied for REACH registration earlier. So the way to reach the break-even then Looking at the history and the relations we have established so far, we estimate that approximately 40% of the business will come from chemicals, and then you will see an even split between cosmetics, pharma, and medical device. I have a little possible upside in this, I would say, from the medical device, because we launched it so recently, and the feedback we have received right now is very positive, so it's possible that that part will grow faster. From a geographical point of view, as I said before, main focus will be the EU and the United States, and we estimate that approximately 85% of the revenues will come from those two areas. What you see above that from Asia will come closer to 2022 than today. The team that will help me to do this, I'm very happy to have on board. On the right, VP Sales, Peter Nailstedt, with whom I had a very favorable competition when he was running Probi and I was running BioGaia. And together with Anna Chauvrier Hansson, that will recruit the CROs, and Tina Dackermark Lavesson, that has done exactly this type of marketing when she was working in companies like Cellavision, for example. I feel that I have a very strong group that can help me to drive the commercial part here. So the strategy is set, the goals are there, and now remains to do the work and to really create a track record. So thank you very much for listening, and now of course I'm open to take questions.
Thank you very much, Axel. I'm going to start out with see if there's anyone in the audience who has a question for Axel. If not, then I'm just going to go right ahead and say, so you have a product that seems very competitive. Like you said, it has a higher accuracy, and also it takes into account 200 biomarkers.
Yeah.
You also have 4 different business areas, so to speak, focus areas. And you also mentioned the fact that you are now sort of remodeling the company for commercialization. So what would you say is the main challenge at this point going forward?
I think the challenge that had been a little bit underestimated before is actually the fact that when you go from research to commercialization, it takes time, first of all. And secondly, it's also a cultural shift in an organization. When you have a group that has done phenomenal research for many years and you ask them to start to sell, it becomes a little bit of a challenge, of course, because they have not been educated and primed to do that. So that is why it was important for me to have a management team now where we have a clear majority of commercial experience, which then, of course, is affecting the rest of the organization, firstly. And secondly, we have also asked all the team members today to really be salesmen or saleswomen. And that was hard in the beginning. But then we said, everyone can contribute here, because if you have researched, you can make presentations at the different congresses and symposiums around the world. And then we are other people in the organization that can pick up and drive the sales as such. So that is one part. And then, of course, one reason for also taking in money now is that we will add capabilities and resources on the commercial and marketing side.
And speaking of strengthening the organization and reshaping the organization, is that the focus? I mean, knowing your product is crucial to be able to sell it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier direct sales as a very important key driver for the growth. Going forward, what will the balance be between the selling yourself and selling through distributors?
Yeah, I think that while we are waiting for the OECD to validate our method, the definite number one driver will be direct sales that we do. Because by doing that, we can get in direct contact with the largest companies in the world that are doing these types of tests, build relations with them, get them to use our material and become references to us. And that also gives us a very good feedback, as you know, that have been around in sales for long, that we get the first-hand information from the market as well. And what we want to do here is, of course, to raise the awareness of the technology so that when we get the validation, it will be much easier for the CROs to roll out.
And what kind of the track record that you've seen so far? You mentioned the labs that you're working with and so on. What have the responses been from the market so far?
Yeah,
to your
this was
products?
very important for me when I made my own due diligence before coming to SenzaGen. I mean, I have decided to spend hopefully my best CEO years at this company. And the reason for that was that we have a proven technology, we have good feedback from the customers that have already used the tests, and we see a huge potential. We know that it works. Then, of course, the sales work as such has to be done, but it's the feedback from the customers that I have received that is so positive that really triggers me here.
And a final question before our time's up. Seeing that you have then such a competitive product and you're in a phase where things can really start to take off, in what sense would SenzaGen be a possible takeover target from a bigger player?
Well, of course we are. I mean, to my knowledge, that question has not been raised so far. But I mean, if we start to grow and people see, I mean, the need of this type of technology much broader, because this platform can actually also be copied and pasted into other areas than the one we have talked about before. Of course, there could be an interest. But I have to say that my main mission now is really to develop the company and to build it and to make it commercial and profitable.
We wish you best of luck with that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Axel. Let's give him a warm hand.
Thank you.